for the first time, the Swans are onward to victory.
Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods, a fan podcast of the Sydney Swans Football Club.
So to all you loyal Swans out there who just can't get enough of the red and the white,
settle in for a potentially biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods. G'day there, Cygnets and Swanlings. Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods. You're joined as always by the crew from Sydney. I'm Chris and this is Jen.
Hi Swanlings, that's right, you lucky loyal fans. We welcome you to the podcast for the first time, Sydney's co-captain of the Mighty Swans, Lucy McEvoy.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
No worries, thanks for coming, yeah.
Now, before we get stuck in, a little bit of background for all those new to AFLW and this AFLW legend. Luce debuted for Carlton in 2020 after being drafted with pick number 2 in the first round of the 2019 NAB AFL draft. Not too shabby, number 2. And then she went straight to work and she earned herself a Rising Star nomination in her first ever AFLW game. McEvoy was an All-Australian in the 2019 NAB League and starred in the Under-18s Championship in Vic Country and the VFL competition for Geelong before being picked up by Carlton. She went on there to play 33 games before making her way up to our beloved Swans in 2023, where she was named co-captain alongside Chloe Malloy. She killed it last season, playing all 12 games for us, and she earned herself a whopping 633 AFL fantasy points. She's our conductor of the defence line, and it's an overall pleasure to watch. Welcome aboard, Lucy. Thanks for coming on.
What an introduction. I don't normally get that type of introduction, but it's always nice to get those. So thanks, Jen. I appreciate that.
Oh, look, it's such an honour to have you on. It really is to have the leadership of the Swans joining us. We had, of course, your counterpart there, and Chloe Malloy came on and had a really nice chat. And to have you on is brilliant. So thank you. And I guess straight off the bat, how are you feeling? The competition's just about to kick off next week.
Yeah, feeling really good. Me personally had a full pre-season, which is always nice. Not used to getting the full pre-season in, so to get that consistency has been really good. And in saying that, our whole list has been pretty healthy this pre-season, which hopefully that translates in season and can put us on the best foot once we kick off on Friday night.
100%. How's the team feeling generally? What's the locker room like?
Yeah, we're excited. It's been a long build-up to round one, given that it's always, November to August. It's a long wait in between seasons. We're lucky to have the VFL games earlier in the year, but it's never quite the same and has the same feel to it. So, as I said, it's been a massive build-up, but to finally unleash on Friday night, the girls are really looking forward to it. And I think we're expecting a pretty big crowd, so we're excited to hopefully put on a bit of a show for our fans and members as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both pretty excited. We've already got our tickets for the Friday night, which is great for you to mention that as well. We keep sprucing that on the podcast. If you haven't got your tickets yet, everybody, go get a ticket to the first game of the season. Friday night, the 30th, 7:30 North Sydney Oval. Get your tickets now. Come down and watch the Swannies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a sellout too. So, I think they're expecting it. So you're better off getting in early rather than missing out.
Yeah, I think the last couple of times we played there, we sold out. So it's just inevitable. It's going to happen. So yeah, make sure, get out there now. Don't be lazy. You will sell out. You will miss out. So
speaking of that, how do you manage your work life balance? Luce, I know you've moved up from Carlton, so what's that transition been like for you?
Yeah, it's been good. I'm still working outside of football as well as an IT consultant part-time, and I'm trying to study as well. So I'm trying to cram a little bit in with football, but the balance has been okay. There's some weeks where I question why I'm doing so much, but my work crew, they've been super supportive from the transition from Melbourne to Sydney. We're quite lucky that we've got offices in both states, so makes it easier for me, and their support has been so crucial in allowing me to do sort of all three: study, work, and play football. But as I said, sometimes I really question why I do it, but at the end of the day, I love it. And everyone has those sort of moments when things get a little bit busy and a bit much, but I'm really lucky to have the opportunity that I do to play football, work, and study. And while I can still do all three, I think there's benefit to doing so.
What are you studying?
Yeah, I'm studying a Bachelor of Business. It's taking me forever. I did do half a degree of paramedicine way back when, straight out of high school, and refused to miss training to do placement, so I gave that the flick.
Oh, wow.
Transferred to Bachelor of Business, doing one subject a semester. I think I looked the other day, and it's going to take me till late 2027 or early 2028 that I've planned to finish if I don't fail any subjects, which is always the aim, but you never know. I'm doing economics at the moment, and it's safe to say that's not my strong suit.
Economics sucks. I've done that as well.
It's awful. Like, you pay other people to do that. It's not my forte.
With you there. Well, that's huge. You're doing three things. So what does your work week look like? Like, we had a little chat a couple of weeks ago with Chloe, or that Chris and Steve did, about what the week looks like at the football club. And if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. But what's the week look like for you then? Like, what are your days?
Yeah. So it's sort of, now that we're kind of transitioning to in-season, it looks a little bit different. Across pre-season, I at least get a little bit more consistency with what my week looks like, because training doesn't flick around because we haven't got the games, obviously. But in pre-season, we'd usually train during the day on a Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So that kind of ruled out for work. I could smash out a couple of hours in here and there in the afternoons if I needed to, or in the evenings. But I'd then work Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. Also on Thursdays, we would do kind of like an off-leg session in the afternoon and some education stuff. So I would only be able to work until, I think it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock or something like that. So I'd have to cut that work day short. Plenty of overtime that I try and squeeze in, probably for my own sanity, because I hate falling behind on things. But now that we're coming into in season, it'll flick around a little bit week to week depending on what day we play on the weekend.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more relaxed training wise, which is nice, not as intense. I'll get some mornings back throughout the week to hopefully stay on top of work. But I try and reduce my work hours throughout the week in season in particular, just because place more emphasis and time into recovery and making sure I'm feeling good for footy. It is my number one for me, my football, and work are really supportive and they understand that as well. So again, I'm super lucky to have the employer that I do.
Now, we might be a bit cheeky with this next question then as well. Have you noticed any differences between Carlton and Sydney, your two clubs so far?
Feel free to
similarities?
unleash.
Unleash, or you can be kind, or you can say no comment, and we can move on from that.
And we'll take that as wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
I'm happy to answer that. It's interesting, sort of. Like my time at Carlton, I absolutely loved it, and I've got some great mates from my time at Carlton, and I suppose when I was there, I didn't really know any difference in terms of what a program could or probably should look like. And now there's no secret that at my last season there at Carlton, they had the external review, so clearly things weren't the greatest, I suppose, for lack of a better word, but having the initial conversation with Sydney kind of opened my eyes up to the differences in how programs are run. And now, since being up here last season and this season as well, I suppose I've really noticed a big difference in just the way the program's seen within the club. And that's not to say that Carlton don't care about their women's program. It's probably just held in a little bit of a different regard in terms of what it's like here in Sydney. And I think Tom Harley has been a big part in that. He's very, very involved in our W program, and to have someone of his calibre and his football experience come in and help us it means the world to us as players because you know that that's the CEO. He genuinely cares, shows great interest in the program, and I think it has a flow-on effect throughout the club as well. And the other, I suppose, big difference is, and I think this comes down to facility because at the Swans, as most people know, we're really lucky to have sort of the space that we do, and everything's quite open in the facility. If you haven't seen any photos, it's got like glass all around, and you've got the indoor field. Everyone can see everyone, and it also allows for 2 programs to be in there at the one time because the facility is so big. We're quite lucky to have SCG next door, which means the boys can train and we can train at the same time. Whereas at Carlton, and it's also sort of the time that I was there, the programs were probably really separated. So we didn't cross over too much with the boys. And I think I've learnt a lot being at Sydney and just learning off them and just observing what they do in their day-to-day and bringing that into our program, in the W program. And that's been another really big difference between the two clubs. And again, it's probably just timings of where W was at when I was at Carlton, and also the facility. Like Carlton had new facilities, but they weren't, I suppose, the same layout as Sydney to allow 2 programs to be in at once. It can get quite stuffy and cozy when everyone's in at once. So that's probably the main differences that I've come across between the two.
And when you say you learning off the men's program, like is that from a day-to-day preparation thing, or is that a physical thing? What kind of things are you kind of taking from like the way that they've structured their weeks, given they've obviously been so established, and AFLW is still kind of working its well through?
Yeah, initially, I think particularly for our young girls, just the observing of how they prepare for training, their recovery, that sort of stuff for our young girls in particular that are new to the program is invaluable. And for myself as a co-captain, been around for a little while now, I find great value in the conversations that we have in passing. Particularly, Dane Rampy's one that he's awesome. Millsy again, he's another one. They're always open to stop and have a conversation, and they've got great interest in our W program, and they're often asking us questions, and that will lead to me going, oh, hey, yeah, we've kind of got, this happening. How do you guys deal with this? So we can, I find it, really beneficial that I can bounce that off them because they've been there, done that. They've been around for years. And, Cal Mills and Ramps they've played football for such a long time, and there's not much they haven't seen. So to know that what we're dealing with for the first time in the W program, it hasn't not been dealt with before somewhere else. So to have them and then be so open to sharing their experiences with us, it's been crucial for my role as a leader at the club.
Wow.
That's so awesome to hear.
Great insight.
That's really exciting. I think everyone will love that. I'm going to jump forward to another question on that as well, of speaking of captains and co-captains. How do you and Chloe, how do you guys complement each other?
Yeah, we often get asked this question, the both of us, and we're two very different human beings, Moy and I think that's what makes us a really good match, is that we offer different strengths in terms of what we bring to the table, obviously, and just being able to understand what each other's strengths are and then use that to our advantage. So I often like to say Moy's got a lot more sort of empathy than I do, not to say that I'm so cold-hearted.
Oh, you are awful.
But Moy makes me think of our situation. She makes me think differently. And she'll often say things I'm like, yeah, actually, I didn't think of that. And vice versa. Quite often there'll be something that, and Moy's a thinker. Like she'll come to me and be like, oh, I was thinking so and so. And I'm like, did it happen or has it happened? She's like, well, no. I'm like, so it's not a problem? Like, we're hypothetical here. So we've got a really good balance, and we're definitely, that's getting stronger week to week between the two of us, and the closer we get to each other as well.
Yeah, nice. And then the Swans themselves are no strangers to the co-captaincy, right? It's always been a little bit of a trend of the Swans to kind of make sure there's a couple of people to share the load. And yeah, so it's kind of fun that they've introduced that into AFLW as well, because you both have lives outside of football, albeit in differing amounts. But you do need 2 people to really stay on top of everything, right? It only makes sense to share it with one of your mates. And and get the best out of each other.
Exactly, and I couldn't do it without Moy there. She offers such a great perspective on things for me, and a bit of a sounding board as well. So I definitely would struggle a lot more if I didn't have Moy by my side doing it together.
Yeah.
Which one of you takes the boring tasks then, or do you share them out?
We try and share them out as much as possible. Poor Moy, because I work outside and Moy has a little bit more free time. She often gets dragged into a few more things than I do, unfortunately. But yeah, she's such a great support for me and allowing me to do everything. And she respects my time outside of football as well. And she's very mindful of sort of the other commitments that I have going on. And I often try and find some extra time for our extracurricular activities that come along with co-captaincy as well. I think you have to. It's important to take the time out, given that, you know, we're the voice of the playing group and they look to us a lot of the time. So definitely takes up a lot more time than if you're just a player on the list, but it's quite enjoyable, and I'm learning so much as well.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That's so cool. Yeah.
So I was going to say, who's better at the pre-game pump-up?
Oh,
You or
good
Malloy?
question.
Oh,
Here
that's
we
a
go.
good.
Back yourself,
It's
big boy.
It's quite funny. I would say Moy is very level-headed in her pre-game
All right.
pump-ups,
Yeah.
which is, it's so funny. Normally, like, she's so composed, but I'm normally known as being quite composed as well. But sometimes when I am really revved up, I can't help but get really fired up pre-game.
Yeah.
So it sort of depends on the mood that the group is in to determine who says what. I might give a bit of a pump up and then she'll come in and just kind of bring the calmness to the end of it. But if we think we need a bit of a G up, it'll, probably land in my hands. Yeah.
I love that. There you go. Any famous ones you've done or memorable ones that maybe come to mind in the last year or so?
A funny one was round one last year. I would often send like a little like motivational video into our players chat morning of game day, and it was, I can't even remember the guy's name, but it's like a funny one, and he's like got a big person. I can't remember his name, but he swears a lot in it. It's like a real just like get up and about one. He won in the first video of round one last year. He said, if you want to make an omelette, you got to crack a few eggshells.
Yeah.
And so Moy gave the pre-game speech at the start of round one, and like we were expecting ourselves to win, to be our first win ever in the club, and just at the end of it, I dropped that line, and it got a good laugh out of most, and we kind of used it for the rest of the year. Just pre-game, we would just say, if you want to make an omelette, you got to crack a few eggshells with a few expletives in there as well.
Love it.
Gets them going. Well, it bloody well worked. First win of the season, first win for the girls. Like, what was the feeling at the end of that game like, or even during? Take us behind the scenes a little bit. Like from being there, we know how much it meant to us, but to the girls and the hard work you put in. Tell us, how did it feel?
Yeah, during the game, we obviously went down. I think it was maybe like 20-something points or even 30-something points midway or start of the third, I think it may have been from memory. And like a little bit of doubt creeps in. I was thinking, maybe we're not quite there yet. And then Moy just did Moy things and absolutely knocked it out of the park with that check side kick.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Like sold the candy and then just slotted it. And that kind of just turned the momentum, and then I think that was just before half-time, maybe from memory, or three-quarter time or something like that. Yeah. And that turned it, and from that moment, it was just kind of like, okay, yep, we're in this still. Like, North Sydney, you can score quickly. Yeah. And we knew that. Like, our offense was, we knew our offense was pretty good. We just had to kind of limit theirs and really get our ball movement going. And once we did that, I remember we surged with, I don't know how many goals in a row, and Moy kicked another check side, just as Moy does. Like, if you want the game to change, give her the ball. Like, she'll do that every day for you. And then I remember the last couple of minutes of the game, I was cramping so bad, and I was on the other side of the field, and I couldn't get off. And like, you're so helpless. Like, everyone that's played football and cramps knows that once you start, you can't stop. You can hardly move. I'm just trying to yell and direct, and I don't know because we don't know how long was left as players. Like you got the
Yep.
signs on the bench, but it's like, is it 25 seconds? Is it 5 seconds? Because it was in there forward 50
Yeah.
most of the time, and we just trying to bang the thing out as far as we could. And BT took some incredible marks for us, but once that final siren went, it was just such a relief. Like it's like, oh my god, we've finally done it. And mind you, Chloe and I, we weren't obviously at the Swans in the first season, but to see what it meant to everyone, not just the other girls that were there, but also the staff and friends and family that have had ridden that wave with the W program as a whole, and to see what it meant to them was it was such an incredible feeling. Like I was actually talking about this with Amanda Turner, who's our interim GM at the moment, while Kate Marnie's off having twins, I was saying it's my favourite football moment that I've had in my career, and even over my first AFLW game, like it was such an incredible feeling, and to know that like you're part of history.
Yep.
That photo after the win, it's now up in our boardroom at the club, which is so
Fantastic.
special, and I would love to relive that day over and over again if I could.
Wow,
It
what a
was
beautiful insight
so
into that.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being on that sideline on that day as well, and I saw you, Crab. I was seeing Priv Crab, and I
Yeah.
was just there with a couple of friends, and we're like holding on to each other's shoulders, almost just like looking at the clock, being like, "Hold on, just hold on, you can make it." And then just the roar of the crowd. It was such a great day. So that's what's going to happen this Friday
Absolutely.
too. No pressure.
I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep well that night either. Just buzzing after it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, fingers crossed we can replicate that again on Friday night. It'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be wicked. So how are you feeling about first game coming into 2024? Like are you revved up? It sounds like the team is pumped up about it. You've done some VFL games underneath your belt as well. That would have been pretty welcoming.
Yeah, we've been able to get some really good improvement throughout the VFL games, and we did that last year as well, and we felt like it set us up really well for the season that we had. And so once the off season rolled around at the end of last season, it was kind of like, we're going to do this again. We need everyone to kind of commit. And like, to be fair, they're voluntary sessions and you don't technically have to be there, but we knew as a group that if we wanted to get better, and as an expansion side, you're playing catch up because you haven't had that time playing together that a lot of the inaugural clubs have had, and the consistency in the list. So we need to make up that time somewhere, and it's proven in the numbers. I mean, Scotty's a numbers nerd, and he says it all the time. Like, a lot of it comes down just to consistency with playing with each other, and we found taking that opportunity in the VFL really sets us up well. So we had the 5 games, I think it was, and it was a good little hit out. Like, we did a really good training block before it, did the VFL games, had a couple of weeks off, and then rolled into pre-season. And we can see already, you watch, say, a session from this year to last year, and the difference in skill level, even the physical looks of the group has improved as well. You can tell that there's been a lot of hard work done, and it just means we've been able to enhance our game plan as well and add elements to it that we probably weren't ready for last year. In terms of, team defense and how we want to move the ball, because you can have a game plan, but if you haven't got the skill set to do it, it's pointless because you're not going to get anything out of it. So to be able to get that work in and hopefully have increased our skills. It's always easier in training. You haven't got that real game-like pressure, but
Yep.
we think it'll hopefully stand up once it comes, Friday night in the season, and we feel like we've now got a game plan that's can match it with the best in terms of like the Adelaides and the Brisbanes, and that they're the pinnacle at the moment from the past few years, and they're what we're chasing and who we're chasing. So we've got a quiet confidence that we should hopefully go well, and that's if we play our way. I think from the practice games we really learnt a lot that if we go away from what we do best, as in any team, you're in a bit of strife. So for us, it's trying not to get dictated too much by the opposition and really focus on what we do, but also still nullify, obviously, what they can do. And it's just finding that balance at the moment for us.
Yeah, that sounds super exciting, and it's great to hear you just put that big call out there, like look out Adelaide, look out Brisbane, and that's exciting as a Swans fan. And you said, I mean, the group as a whole has been working really hard. Is there anything in particular yourself that you were trying to focus on in your pre-season or off-season from last year, just individually?
Yeah, well, I had the conversation with Scotty at the end of last year that sort of the next phase for me was getting up the ground a little bit further, getting up onto the wing. So for me in the off season, it was getting a really strong base. It's obviously a different fitness to playing in the back line when you're playing on the wing. So went away and I'd put a really big block of work in. Unfortunately, in February, had a bit of a back issue, so I didn't run for about eight weeks. Missed the VFL games myself, but I was kind of a bit nervous that maybe I'd undone all the work that I'd done over sort of Christmas and New Year, but the turns out the bike, it's just as hard. You're not running, but geez, doesn't keep you fit. So I was quite pleased that when I was back running, I wasn't as unfit as I thought I might be, and have just built sort of throughout the preseason and managed to squeeze my way onto a wing for the time being. So I've tried desperately to keep that spot. It's been an awesome learning experience for me getting up there, and as hopefully the fans will see throughout the year, we're going to use our wings a little bit differently this year, but without giving away too much.
Yep.
It should be hopefully really exciting if I can keep my spot there and not get moved back to the back line. As much as I love the back line, it's always nice and refreshing sort of trying something new.
That was what you were working on the off season. What about the girls generally in the team? Was there anything in particular that Gowans wanted you guys, obviously not giving away too much, but is there anything that Gowans did want to kind of focus on? I did remember him mentioning connection as part of the link up. So talk us about that. What are you working on in those couple of games there?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, it's just that getting that time playing together and understanding each other on a deeper level, I suppose, knowing where each other's going to be, knowing each other's strengths. I think the last couple of years we've done what we could with the time that we had in that space, but it's invaluable when you know that, for example, if it's Brooke Lachlan, I know she's a left footer. If I'm running across her, she's probably not going to be able to screw it. So it's just knowing each other's strengths and having a deeper understanding of what they like, what they don't like out in the field, and how can we help enhance each other. And that comes with time, which is why we had those games and tried to sort of accelerate that a little bit. I still think there's a little bit to go in that space, but as I said, it comes down to time. You can't sort of force things too much, otherwise you're probably skipping over things that only come with proper off-field connection and that sort of aspect of it as well. But that's been a massive focus for us, and it's sort of been the theme of pre-season as well, that sort of connection with each other on and off the field, and definitely made huge leaps and bounds there, and we're hoping that really translates to our on-field performance as well.
Yeah, I think we could really notice that last year as well. In those first couple of games, there was still just not quite there. And then from mid-season onwards, just the way that you guys built and seemed to know where each other was going to be. And as you said, there's nothing like time, playing together and just learning people's voices and strengths like that, which probably leads us into the next thing of, is there anyone we should be keeping an eye on? Is there someone that you think, oh God, they're looking good, or a couple that have had such a good pre-season and you're like, everyone look out for these players, they're coming?
Yeah, I must admit, everyone's put in a pretty solid base. I will throw Monham's name out there. She's had I think a pretty clean preseason. She hasn't had too many issues, which is sets her up for a really big year. We can see the confidence she's had from having that training under her belt. Obviously, the first couple of years for her was a bit rocky. She obviously was flying up and back in her first year. Last year, she had a few stress injuries, so for her to get that consistency in training, you can see how much she's really benefited from it, particularly confidence-wise. And I think she's going to rip the competition apart this year. She's doing some crazy stuff at training. Soph Hurley's another one that I think will take her game to the next level.
All right.
She's a no BS, Soph Hurley. She just gets it done, head down, bum up, and she's really reaping the rewards of a big preseason as well, covering the ground incredibly well, and just uses the ball like no one else. Has had it on a string the last few weeks in match sim and pracky games as well. So she'll be another one to really look out for. And I think there's a couple in the back line that I'd keep an eye on too. BT's in for a big year.
Yeah.
She's really taken control down there as a leader of that back line, and you can see the confidence in her game as well. Alice is another one that was really kind of put on her to be that big key defender for us, and she's done a whole heap of work in terms of her body work and the way she sees the game. Tanya Hetherington's been massive for her in that space, and at training you can really see a massive improvement in that as well. So there's a few, which is really exciting for us as a group. It hopefully sets us up for a really big year once everyone can get going and we can all get on the same page. It's, as I said, hopefully a pretty exciting year for us.
It's pretty fun you say those names, because we did the prediction between the three of us on the podcast last week or the week before. And Sophia Hurley and Montana Ham got mentioned by basically the three of us in different ways. So we are really pumped about those two. I think Mont in particular, everyone's been so excited about it.
She's
predictions.
Put in she's put in a mountain of work, Mon, and she probably probably lacked a little bit of professionalism in her early years, as you do as a young player, and this year it's sort of just really clicked for her. Everything she does on field, off field, is for a reason and has a purpose behind it. So she's taken her game to another level, and I think the fans should be really excited for what's to come for her.
I did notice on some of the photos she actually put on some muscle as well. She's looking pretty
big.
mean.
I wouldn't want to run into her. I'm glad I'm playing with her because she's trucking girls at training, like just running straight over the top.
Excellent. This is going to be a great season. I love it. Yeah, that you said that. We're all excited. There are now predictions for maybe getting the 3-2-1s for most of the season. And it's exciting to hear that you're going to be somewhere else on the field as well. I was going to ask, I was like, if you could put a magnet of yourself somewhere on the field, where would you put it? If you could be a bit sneaky and steal it off Gowans, just like, clunk, I'm going to play here today.
Coach for the day.
To be honest, I keep dropping a little sly comments to put me up forward. But I think it's just because I got a little lick of the ice cream in the finals last year and kicked a couple and thought, this is pretty fun up here. Like I love the back line and that role, but I was kind of like, you get to celebrate a bit more. Like I suppose you have a bit more time to celebrate when you kick a goal. In the back line, you do a spoil and you've got a quick good job and you're straight back into it. So. It'd be nice, but tell me about it. I'm all for it. I see our backs at training sneaking up and trying to get on the board, and I'm like, go, have free reign.
I used to always try and sneak. I'd always be sneaking, and a message would come up, be like, get out of the 50. I'm like, oh, come on. But
sorry, thought I was invisible, didn't think you could see me.
But it's going to be tough. I reckon I've always said wing is the hardest position on the ground. So to have someone of your caliber playing on the wing it's also a conducting role. You get to run both ways, get to dictate what's kind of happening, or you see so much more of the field. So that's exciting for all of us. Is there anyone that might get a debut this year, do you think, any of the new gals?
Yeah, I think like the 5 new girls that we've had come in, they've all got so much to offer, and I think they're all definitely a chance to either play their first AFLW game or debut for the club as well. They all have such different strengths. Holly Cooper, obviously small forward, she's got a bit of pace, a bit of grunt about her. We did a contest cube 1v1 drill at training, and it's like elimination. You lose her out, and she had concussion and came back and like absolutely blitzed it and won that. So she's a bit of a bull. Sarah Grundon's got some of the silkiest skills I've seen in a long time from a draftee. She's got some serious talent, that girl. And I think Lara, she's been training down back for us, has been a defender in her junior career as well. And she's another one that's got she's got a good head on her shoulders, sees the game really well. Her confidence has grown throughout pre-season. They've settled, and that VFL series has allowed them to settle really nicely for our 3 draftees. And then with Kiara and Giselle coming from different clubs, they've offered some great insights for us as a group. Kiara obviously coming from Brisbane, who have been incredibly successful, and she probably just hasn't been given the opportunities that she probably deserved at Brisbane, and so she's come across and she's slotted in really well. She's built really nicely over the preseason, as has Giselle. She's a bloody physical player, Giselle.
Yeah.
She's another one I wouldn't want to be running into anytime
Well,
soon.
she's actually one that Chloe actually mentioned, like a bit of a
Yep.
sneaky for the year. She said so.
Yeah, she's got some serious talent, got great mitts on her, can take a really strong contested mark, and just offers us a little bit more versatility up forward. Priv does an awesome job being that key forward for us, but I think, Giselle coming in will take a bit more pressure off her and probably take one of the better defenders in when we come up against opposition. So with her coming in, it just gives us a different look up forward. Super physical, can pinch hit throughout the ruck as well. So plenty of versatility that she offers as well.
And it's wild that all the names you mentioned there, like they're all 19, and Giselle's the only one at 21 years old. They're so young, and they're already kind of establishing themselves in the AFLW system.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and we've still got such a young list as a whole. And if we can keep a really core group together for years to come, it's going to be super exciting because it all comes back to that time together, as I said before. And we feel like we've got a group that's got really strong relationships and enjoys each other's company on and off the field. And that probably, translates in the long run. We've all moved to Sydney, a lot of us. There's only a handful that live here. So we've all each other kind of have up here. So in a sense that it sort of makes that connection even stronger for us.
Beautiful.
Oh, lovely.
It is hilarious. You're saying a young group. How old are you yourself, Luce? As
Yeah, Lucy, how old are you?
I'm still 23, so
Wow.
hopefully you got a
I
bit
know.
left, hopefully.
I think you got a few more years under your belt.
Yeah. Well, you got added into the
plan.
best of the 22 under 22 last year, I think it was, and we were just on the podcast. We're like, "What? She's only 22? Like, I thought she was like 28, like a world veteran." And you are a veteran, but still so young and already done so much of the system. What have you got ahead of you, Lucy? Like, what's going on?
God, I don't know. Like sometimes I forget that I'm 23. And it's quite funny. A lot of times people are like, "Oh, you're not 23. You're like older than that." I'm like, "Nah, still 23." Sometimes I feel like I'm working like I'm 50, but it is what it is.
Sounds like
I think, I don't know. I've sort of always been this way. I don't know what it's from, to be honest, but and in terms of what's to come, who knows? Hopefully still got 10 plus years of footy in me, ideally. All things goes well with the body, hopefully, but I'd love to get a premiership in that time, obviously.
Yes, that's what we want to hear.
Always.
Music is, that's right.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I think we were saying the other week, we were giving you a bit of a pep up. We were blowing your balloon pretty full the other day, saying like maybe she'll have a coaching hat on one day, and then we're like, actually, no, we want her playing for as long as possible for the Swans. You're so calm, you're so collected, you've got so many great skills. So we're very happy to watch you keep playing for many years to come, which maybe will lead in.
Kind.
Which probably leads us into this Friday, first game of the season. Any players that are keeping you on your toes? Like obviously it's Collingwood, they're one of the inaugural teams as well. How are you feeling coming up against the old Pies?
Yeah, they're always an interesting one. So prior to me coming to Sydney, I'd never actually beaten Collingwood. Last year was the first time that I'd finally beaten them, and I was pumped, to say the least, about it. But they obviously had a few injury clouds last year. Ruby Slasher had her issues. I think she went down in our game as well. Unfortunately, she's looking like and sounding like she's going to have a really big year. So they'll be bolstered by her and a couple of others. Their backline is probably what keeps us on our toes the most. They've got some pretty talented players down there in Geordie Allen, Lauren Butler, Slasher, as I said. They've added some really young, skillful talent as well. So it's always hard to know what to expect at this time of year. Pracky games, you kind of go, how much Do you read into them? Do they mean a lot? Do they not? Who knows? There's no doubt that they'll come out firing. They're used to the opening night pressure. They've had it before, and it is a little bit of a different type of pressure. There's there's more excitement added to it, and there's certainly probably, I would say, a little bit more nerves when it's opening night, knowing that a hell of a lot more people are watching. It's Friday night prime footy, so we'll do our Oppo sort of preview this week and highlight some of their key players, and the usual suspects will be there: Bree Davey, Benici, Slisher, Butler. They've got some serious talent across the whole ground that we've got to keep in mind and watch out for. But we'll try and nullify that as much as possible, whilst also maintaining our game plan and trying not to let them dictate us too much in that sense.
Yeah.
And what that's the team, but what about you personally? Like, do you have a pre-game routine at all? Like, is it 4 wheat bix and a sandwich? Like, what's the process?
Yeah.
I'm pretty basic, guys. I'm a banana and honey girl a lot of the time.
Okay.
Pre-game.
Yeah.
Banana and honey sandwich, I should say.
Yum! Yes, white bread,
so
of course.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. My teammates think it's weird, but I've been having it pre-training, and they're like, "It's kind of weird, but okay." That's kind of like, I try and keep my meals pretty consistent across the week. Like, I it's probably bad, but I don't change things up too much. Like, I'm happy to eat the same stuff more often than not. I know what I'm going to get from it, and try and keep game day as routine as possible. It's obviously a night game, so I've yet to decide whether I'll have dinner before it or not. As it gets closer to the game, you kind of get the nerves, and you don't want to eat as much because you think it might come back up.
Yep.
But that's why the honey banana sandwich usually goes down pretty well and sits well. But in terms of pre-game routine, I like to get out and have a bit of a kick. I'm pretty cruisy pre-game. I find when I'm really relaxed and having a bit of a laugh, it usually translates onto the field. Whereas if I'm too G'd up and almost sort of in that red zone where I'm too much adrenaline, too amped, it kind of flusses me a little bit, and skills drop off and that sort of stuff. So try and keep a pretty level head. It's so funny. I still feel like it's ages away, but it's only 5 days away.
Yeah, it's just around the corner.
Yeah, but it's kind of good if I can keep relaxed throughout the week and just take a really chilled approach to it. I know I'll be okay.
Okay,
Nice.
I've got a follow-up question here, and it's important.
Yep.
I might
And
have the
there
same
is a
question.
right or wrong answer here. Yeah, we might do.
Oh, here we go.
All right. What do you butter your banana and honey bread?
Yes, I do, because
Yes,
the honey doesn't
correct
spread.
answer.
The honey doesn't spread.
Yes. Yeah.
People that don't, that's criminal. All right,
That is
question
criminal.
for you.
Oh yes, please.
Question for you.
Yeah.
What about butter with peanut butter?
No, you don't do
No.
that. That's just
No.
that's out of control.
Absolutely
Who does
not.
that?
I like you
I want
guys.
names.
I like you guys. There's some at the club that
That
do.
is
There's-
wrong.
What?
Yeah,
That is
That's it.
terrible.
controversial, I know.
Yeah.
I've got another question for
Controversial.
your pre-game stuff then.
Yeah.
A double-edged question, actually. Do you have
Go
a
for it.
particular song that you listen to before the game? And if you were to sneak up front and get a goal and you had a song that played when you got a goal, what would they be?
Great questions. Yeah.
Oh, they can't be the same?
They can if you'd
Oh,
like.
yeah,
can
they
be
can.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. Or actually, pre-game 50 Cent, if I can.
Yeah.
Great song.
Good choice.
Gets me
good
up
choice.
and about. That, like, it gets me a new level of confidence. I'm thinking I'm, strutting around, thinking, oh, yep, I'm in the mood.
Turn
Yeah.
into Big Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Alter ego.
Yep.
In terms of if I kick a goal and I get to have a song played, there's some Cracker and the Boys that I've heard, and one of the guys, Callum Brown at the Giants, he's got, I don't know what it is, but it's like I was at one of their games doing SEN radio.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but it's from like a video game.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
if you Google it, it might
I'm
be
gonna
able to come
look
up.
this up. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's so funny.
That would be fun. Because obviously that's going to be our aim down the track is, the more that AFLW builds, we get to like put this to you guys as it like grows and grows and grows. And why not? Why not now? The men get some songs for their goals. Let's get it happening.
Exactly.
We'll try and sneak it into the Rainbow Swans before this, this game. Or maybe we'll bring a speaker ourselves and just blast it.
Yes.
Just on the sideline.
I actually
the
think
song is El Sonidito by his Richo band.
So funny, and it plays over the speakers, and the whole crowd starts dancing to it. Now, I obviously couldn't take his, but I'd probably do something similar, just to get a bit of a laugh and get the fans going a little bit. I think,
I love that. Good.
Cool. All right. I wasn't expecting that one, but that's awesome. That's really
something that the crowd can get into. I think is the way to go.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. Speaking of the crowd, how does it feel when you have like of all the teams, the Swans fans, the Bloods fans are hardcore. I mean, most competitions are absolutely. Everyone's got their great fans, but the Swannies fans have really embraced AFLW through and through. What does that feel like? I know I'm not necessarily dragging in the change over here from Carlton, but for you to see it happen on the ground and feel it, what's that like?
You know what the funny thing is? A lot of players will say, I want to go to a club that, has a big supporter base. I want to play in front of heaps of fans. And Sydney's name's not usually attached to that. And then since coming up here and seeing how passionate our supporters are, and they turned out in numbers. We averaged the highest crowd at the home and away games last year. And it's like, you want to play in front of big crowds, come and play at the Swans, because our fans are the best fans in the league. Like, they turn out each and every week, whether it's home or away. Like, I remember the Gold Coast final.
Yeah.
There wasn't many. We had a good contingent in terms of how many people were actually in the crowd, but geez, they made some noise, and they're huge for us, our fans. And I think that I've never, at Carlton, we never got those kind of crowds, and it's a massive credit to our upstairs team at the Swans and our game day that do the game day experience. The effort they put into that to make it such a enjoyable experience for our fans and members, it goes a long way. Like, you get the picnic on the hill at Henson, and the fans love it. They have the local breweries in, and it just adds to that experience because it's such a fun day, and so many people have said it's so much fun coming to watch you girls. Like, the stuff they have around the ground and the activations are incredible, and then also we were playing some pretty good footy last year, and hopefully we continue that, which just adds to it. But yeah, we're so proud to have the supporter base that we do, and they're so passionate. Like, everyone told me that Sydney's, New South Wales is a rugby state. They don't really care about AFL, but the people that do are incredibly passionate.
They're hardcore, aren't they? Yeah.
They know everything, come to all the events, all the games, and I love that. Like, it's just so great to see, and they feel like we try and bring them in and on our journey as much as possible, and we hope that they feel that, and that's what the reason why they enjoy it is. Quite often they're, we love your story and the story of the club and all of that, and we've seen the men's put up some really big crowds this year, and nearly sell out to most home games. So we're expecting pretty big turnouts at our games again, hopefully.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and it's a day of it. Like, the Inner West is almost designed for AFL. Like,
isn't it?
It's the location, the demographic, everything about it is just bang on right, and they've taken it to like ducks to water. We love the AFLW, especially in Henson. It's nuts. Yeah,
it's incredible. Like, the club have done an awesome job in like getting into those communities and saying, hey, don't miss out. We're just around the corner playing a game. Come along and have a look and get involved. And a lot of the people in those communities have taken to it like ducks to water, as you said, Chris, and they've turned out in absolute droves, which is so awesome to see. And I have no doubt that that'll be the same again this year. And we really love playing at Henson in particular, kind of turning that into just like our spiritual home almost. We haven't necessarily got that as such, given we go between North Sydney and there, but Henson has quickly become one of my favourite grounds to play at, for sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah, cool.
I think where the AFL Sydney contingent have been just waiting on the edge of their seats for
Yeah.
many years, and until the Swannies joined in, and yeah, it was a bit of a homeland ground for so many of the women's game just in the Sydney League
Yeah.
anyway. So it's very exciting that you guys get to play there, and I mean it's great for us that Priv got to play some games in the Sydney competition and then on that oval, and now she plays that. She just knows where those sticks are. She doesn't even have to look.
Oh.
She's pretty incredible.
She's a freak.
Yeah, she's just like one grab. She gets that ball in the forward 30. It's a goal. She was a nightmare
Yep.
to use to defend. So she's incredible. I guess that also brings us again back to this Friday. It's going to be such an amazing day. It's meant to be hot all week. It's meant to be 28 in the day. So thank God you guys are playing at night time. I think it's going to be perfect, like 22. Chris is going to be there. I'm going to be there. The atmosphere is going to be there. So,
Yeah.
Again, everybody, if you haven't got your tickets yet, get your tickets. Get down there.
Bloody well
Support
do
the
it.
girls. We've got to get this league growing, get it bigger, get more
Yeah.
games next year. The more games, the more footy we get to watch, the more legends we get to watch play. It's just such an exciting time, and can't wait to see you girls get stuck in.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. We're so looking forward to it, and win, lose or draw, we just hope our fans enjoy coming to watch us and being a part of it. We owe them so much. Our fans, they're incredible, and we just love getting around them at the end of the game. And regardless of result, they've always got a smile on their face, and treat us like family, and we hope that we reciprocate that as well.
Yeah.
We went up to Gold Coast with my mum to watch the final there and
The final,
the elimination. Yeah, and my mum for half the game, the second half was just weeping because she
Oh,
was
that's
so
so
proud.
sweet.
She was like, "I'm just so happy for them," and she's just sitting there quietly weeping to herself, holding her little scarf and just having the best time. Like I think just the amount that it meant to the team, just to be in in the competition, and then just the girls just giving it all you can, and then just having that. Proof in the pudding. It came out, and you won a final in that year. It's just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And we're hoping we can go a few better this year. That's always the aim. We feel like we're trending in the right direction, but of course, yet to be seen so far until we kick off the season on Friday night.
I've got a quick one on Gowans, actually. I want to ask you.
Yeah, go
The
for
big
it.
man. I always had this impression that he was a bit like gentle and things. And then speaking to Malloy, she's like, nah, he's actually pretty
Pretty
stoic.
ruthless.
Pretty ruthless, yeah. Is that the truth?
Yeah, he's a bit. He does come across. Now that you say that,
Yeah.
I see some like press conferences, and he's said like he's very gentle in those, but to us as players, he'll give us a kick up the backside when we need it. That's for sure. And he's pretty ruthless, which I think you have to be in a head coach role. It's a tough gig, and he does it. I think he does it really well. He's got some interesting humour though, Scotty Gowans. He got a bit of dark humour, which he likes to use a lot. But,
All right.
it keeps us on our toes as players, to say the least. But he's awesome. He's such a mastermind, a bit of a football guru. The way he sees things and implements different aspects to our game plan, you just kind of sit there and go, how does this not work? Like, you just go, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
And it gives you so much confidence as a player. But as I said, he's very quick to remind you if you need to kick up the backside, he'll be the one to say it. So he's got a pretty good balance.
And he's got a long extension. He's going to be a coach for some time. How does that feel with a bit of like stability in the club like that?
Yeah, I'm super pumped for him. It's well deserved. He's always been renowned as quite a good coach around the league. I was lucky enough to have him at Vic Country Days when I was a junior. Mind you, I was 14 then, so that sort of relationship that we have now was a lot different. But the basis of him hasn't changed too much. He's still got that crude humour to a degree, and he's still a footy nerd and loves his stats and numbers. And he's always thinking. I think that's what makes him different. Is he's always thinking about the game. He has such a passion for it, and a passion to win that rubs off on us as players. And I think he'll be a really big piece of the puzzle, obviously, for us in years to come. Just the consistency of having him there and leading the charge for us will be crucial, and hopefully, the success in years to come.
part of the reason we managed to get you is actually through Jen, because yourself and Jen actually played together. Is that right? Back in the
Yep.
Carlton VFLW days.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. Okay.
Be nice.
No, I was gonna. I was actually gonna ask. Yeah. Do you have some dirt, or is there only a bit of respect there? Or there's got to be something you got to say.
No, I haven't got too much dirt on you, Jen. I vividly remember, to be fair, you're always such a leader of the VFLW program. Friendly face, always very polite, say good day in the gym when we would cross paths in each other's programs. And you were a train on with the W program for a
Yep.
little bit as well.
Yeah.
Which was awesome having you around. Obviously quite experienced and always happy to share the knowledge, which I know the VFL girls, younger VFL girls, really appreciated as well. But as I said, we said off air, the relationships you build throughout football is the best part about playing. You get to cross paths with some pretty cool people and make really cool connections, and Jen's one of those, luckily for me.
Has she ever not favoured you in maybe kicked it over your head or something? Any gripes that you want to bring up?
No, Jen's
I'm working
always
hard.
pretty good.
I'm working hard here.
I think that
No, I
would be
must
foolish
admit,
of me
like-
not to pass it to Lucy. So I
Yeah.
don't think that would
was-
that would make me look bad. So I think it was always like, oh, Lucy's right there, give it to her, or
Here
yeah.
you go. Well, I remember I was pretty young playing for VFL at Carlton, so it was first or second year that I just came and played a couple of games, and Jen, you're definitely one that everyone sort of looked up to and was a leader down there in the back line as well. So
Yeah.
always good to play with.
Oh, come on,
Thanks,
girls.
mate.
You're too nice. I see. You got each other's backs even
I'm
now.
loyal, Chris.
I
What
know.
can you say?
I'm getting that. I'm getting that.
I've already said off air, like, don't you say anything. No, I haven't. No, that is very kind. I did spruce you the other week as well, saying it was so good having you come down to the VFL program, and you were so generous with your time as well, especially to the younger girls. And as you said, I had such an amazing time there, and having to come across playing with you and be lucky enough to play in a couple of games with you, get to have that little feather in my cap forever as well. So you're making me look good.
Oh, stop. I will just say on that it can be quite difficult, I know, for VFLW programs in particular, to have the W girls come in and so many of us, and it can always, I wouldn't blame, the girls if there was a little bit of angst there, because, your spots then get filled up by the W players. But I must admit, the Carlton VFL side, when some of us W girls came back and slotted in, welcomed us with open arms, and we were one of them, and there was no bitterness, I suppose, which again you wouldn't blame if there was, and it made it so much more enjoyable playing football, with them and running it each and every week. I remember there was one game that was blowing a gale, freezing cold out at Casey. It was shocking, but it was always good fun. Always good fun coming back and playing those VFL games.
Yep. I do have one more question for you, just another cheeky one, because I love a cheeky question.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's home and away games. Is there anyone who you may not necessarily pick as your number one to share a room with on your away games? Is there anyone who's got some
Whoa.
interest? Okay, that's too hard. Anyone who's got some interesting travel, like superstitions or tidbits when they're on their away season, and you're like, that's an interesting thing that you do, buddy.
Oh,
That's putting you on the
The
spot.
lucky thing is,
Yeah.
we get our own rooms,
Ah,
which I am thrilled with. I live on my own. I love my own space. I love my teammates. Don't get me wrong. But
Yep.
God, sometimes they can do you in if you spend. And my social battery runs out very quickly. So we're lucky that we already get our own rooms. But I think if we were roomed with teammates, I love Ali Morfitt to death, but I think she would chew my ear off all night if we were to room
really?
together.
Yeah.
Oh, love just goes, and that girl is a ball of energy,
Yeah.
non-stop, 24/7, which is what we love about Morph.
Yeah.
She's the Energizer bunny for us, but I don't need that at 10 o'clock at night. I don't think so.
Just
Good
has
answer.
problems switching off, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
good,
big time. And
kind,
as I said,
political answer.
Yeah, that's tidy. Yeah, I can see why you got the captaincy now. That was very political. I like it.
straight at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah, we've got a pretty good group of girls. I must admit, no one's got anything super weird unless they keep it pretty quiet from us that I know of. But
You know, if you don't know who it is, it's you, right?
yeah, probably. I would. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes I think I'm a snorer, and I'm like, oh, maybe the girls just don't tell me, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'm annoying. I'm a very early waker. I'm annoying, so I'm up and at 'em probably way too early for a lot of them.
Right. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
it sounds like it might be you. I'm afraid.
Potentially.
Sorry about that. And outside of footy, we spoke about some of the other stuff you're doing. You're also doing some radio gigs with SEN as well. You're on the radio last night.
Yeah, no, I'm loving that. I've had a few opportunities with SEN at the men's games, which has been such an awesome experience. I was lucky enough to do a bit of it back in Melbourne, doing some of the other W games, did a little bit with Fox, which was pretty cool, some boundary riding there. And, I love football. I'm a football nerd, so to be able to chat football and get paid for it, pretty good gig. So hopefully a few more of those chances or opportunities I can get in the years to come. It's a pretty good job that they've got, the commentators. So certainly something on the list that I might dabble in a little bit more in the years to come.
Oh wow, there you go. A little bit of a tidbit for the future. You might see a bit more of you on the radio, you think, or even on telly
I
and
hope
stuff.
so.
Yeah.
I've got to probably speak a little bit better before we get too consistent with it. But SEN are awesome. They always saying, "Do you want to jump on board?" And I'm like, "I'd jump at the chance." So pretty lucky that they've supported me.
Awesome. Well done.
Lovely.
Congratulations. That's great news.
I don't know. We have nothing else to ask. You've been so great with your time and letting us know what's inside your mind and what's going on there in the girls' side. And
Absolute pleasure.
we are absolutely pumped about this year. I know you girls are. And so we look forward to seeing you run out there on Friday and into a sold out crowd and then just, entertain and make us proud the whole year.
Yeah, thanks for having me on too. Really appreciate it. And thanks for the support. You guys have been awesome for us as a group. So we see it, we feel it, and hopefully we can do you guys proud this season.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Liz.
much. Well, then we'll see you on Friday night. Up the Bloods and Can't You Swannies.
Go Swannies. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.